Welcome, and thanks for stopping by. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to our podcast on one of your favorite platforms, I'm glad you're here. At this time, I would like to thank our partners and sponsors for their dedication to helping the show to grow. We cannot do what we do without their help. Hey, everybody, you've reached the Millennium Beat. My name is Kevin James. I'm the host today. On the computer, I have Joseph Almeida, and I'm saying it right, I hope.
Perfect.
All right, Almeida. That's it. He gave it to me phonetically, so I couldn't mess it up. So, Joseph, we've been friends for many years. I did an interview with you and your wife. You were down in West Palm Beach at the time. And let me see. I did some statistics. And we did two shows. They aired. Actually, show number one was 36 and 37. Aired September 27th and October 4th of 2020. So as almost 3 years ago. First of all, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. So in the last 3 years, what the heck has happened to you guys? Because you're no longer in Florida, and you look like you yourself have grown a little bit of.
I know. I might have the beard. I mean, I have glasses now.
Okay.
I'm in Pennsylvania now. We actually live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. So it gets a little bucky out there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of deer, and you always got to watch out for the ticks.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll find them in your hair, and you got to get them out. But I mean, so I can
now,
share with you what
I gotta ask this question so I know. You know that I'm gonna get a bus. I'm working on it. I was supposed to get one. Kind of made some financial decisions I thought were right, kind of weren't right, and that fell through. So, but I'll get one. So, do you have room for a 40-foot bus in your driveway?
We honestly do. So we actually live in a farmhouse.
Okay.
We're renting, but it's 4.6 acres. So
okay.
Yeah,
So you have plenty.
Can park a bus or a few.
Okay. A few buses. Okay. Well, we'll get into your topic of your what you do for living now and stuff like that. Just like your company that you do stuff for is very famous. There's a company dealing with RVs called Harvest Host. And Harvest Host is they partner with people that have farms and orchards and groves and whatever and museums. And actually, I've even heard churches that you can actually go stay and you spend overnight. And then if they have a tour or something like that, they highly recommended you take their tour for $19.95 or something, or you make a donation to their church. But you basically stay there for one night, which is great if you're going from point A to Z. You get different stopping points. So I'm planning out my trip to New England, and and I want to do another interview with you and your lovely wife. So, but so you moved there. You moved there almost right after our last interview, didn't you?
Yeah. So we moved in 2021, month of June. So
okay. It was a little later, about a year almost.
About a year the following summer. Yeah. So like we had our podcast with you, and I think in the time after the pandemic, we were just praying about our future. Me and my wife, Kirstyn, who was, I'm glad that we were on the podcast together. And we just were praying about like what are our next steps, as far as like, do we want to stay in Florida? Like, do we want to have a family? Do we want to raise it in Florida or Pennsylvania? So she has roots in Pennsylvania, I think.
Okay.
You remember when we shared in the podcast?
they always say we have a friend in Pennsylvania, so
Yeah, you got a friend of exactly.
we
I
got
like
two
that
of
one
them.
song, that Christmas song where it's like, uh, "He heading to Pennsylvania with some pumpkin pie." You know that one?
Um, I've never heard that one, but and then
Uh,
you're not the only one that I know in Pennsylvania. I think there is a guy that has a church, and I don't remember where it is right off the top of my head, and I can't look it up. But so I know a couple of people in Pennsylvania, so I could spend a few weeks there because between doing an interview again with you and then
yeah,
them and the church and the convent, they usually have a conference called the Gathering. I think that's in Pennsylvania or New York, but you're all New York is close to you
the
anyway.
Northeast.
The
Yeah,
Northeast, yeah.
yeah, and
So,
you're from
so,
Boston,
and
right?
I'm
So,
from originally from Boston, and I like to take a trip up there one more time. And but I do whether it's after the conversation we had with you and your wife, but I do remember that you were talking about going to Pennsylvania. It was something
yeah.
in the plan. So,
It was something that planned. It happened, by God's grace. I got a job opportunity, which I'm working now. So I work at a school called Faith Christian Academy, and I'm an
okay.
academic advisor and counselor and a Bible teacher. So
Oh,
yeah, it's really awesome. I teach eighth
cool.
graders a Bible class and a high school prep class. So the school that I work at is 6th to 12th graders, and so
Okay.
my main role is academic advising. So I help students like create schedules. I help seniors figure out their
Okay.
year plan, like post high
Wow.
school, host college fairs, trade fairs, things like that. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, one reason that God, brought us up here was that job opportunity. Also, we
Right.
want to just have a change of pace.
Hmm.
So we're more, and now in a rural area. When you met us in our apartment, it was like
Oh yeah.
it was in a
Yeah.
city. So I think the first year was a bit of adjustment. But then, well, I mean, it's always going to be adjustment. But I think after the year two, like now we're on starting year three.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, just learning about the culture, like the Four Seasons, which is nice. Uh,
Right. Oh
you know,
yes, definitely nice. Yes.
but yeah, no, we found a church community here. My
Okay.
wife found a job. She works for an adoption agency. So
Okay.
she's post permanency care specialist. So what she does is she helps families that have adopted
Hmm.
kids get services.
Okay.
So yeah, no, we're definitely kind of in the social work counseling field. And like we talked about before we started airing, I do work for BetterHelp and Talkspace, their counseling
Okay.
platform online.
Yes, and I've heard of them, and I told you why. Michael Rosenbaum with his podcast that he does. Which is anybody that's listening, who's Michael Rosenbaum? Well, it's Lex Luthor of Smallville, and Tom Welling from which has happened to be Clark Kent. So, and they do a rewatch, and they're in season 3 right now, and which is neat because you watch a show, they talk about it, so that's pretty cool. And their sponsors is Better Health, and that's really cool. One of the things I was thinking of something, and I actually probably forgot it already, but it's going to Pennsylvania and stuff like that. The weather's nice. Like we have here in Florida, as you know. Oh yeah, I know what I want to say, but I'll say this first. Um, we have summer and maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas, and that's it. It's
Exactly.
it's like short weather every single day. And I have been living in here for almost 30 years now. Actually, next June, it will be 30 years.
Wow,
So
congrats.
June 24th, 2024, I moved here in June 24th, 2000. No, not even 2000. It was 1994.
Wow.
So I've been here for 30 years. It's been amazing. But
So you are a Florida man. No.
well, actually, after that date, I will have lived here in Florida longer than I did Massachusetts.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just I guess that what I was supposed to ask you must be not important because I keep forgetting it. So, but in general, it is. Oh, I know what it was. Now, when we talked last, and then I knew you. I don't even remember exactly when I met you. It was at a Life Youth Camp, which doesn't exist anymore. They were
Right.
sold. They were bought out by another company. I think
Yeah.
they're still around as that new company. I know the Steven family have nothing to do with it anymore at all. I think maybe I heard rumors that Bobby might be still there, but that's about it.
I think I heard that. Like, I think when a letter came out to some people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. But my point was this: is if I remember right, weren't you on the music team? Didn't you play a
Yep.
guitar or something like that?
Yeah, I play guitar. I was on the worship team. I did chapels for the students,
Yeah.
primary to high school age. Yeah,
Okay. So
I was there.
now, so
For
you're very musically inclined now,
years.
but you haven't mentioned it. Are you doing anything anymore with music?
It's so funny. I don't do music anymore, which I don't know
No.
what that is. I've gotten more to my other hobbies like playing soccer. I
Right.
know.
Well, that was always your big one anyway. I know that you were a big World Cup or what's the country that you follow?
Port.
Um,
Yeah.
Portugal? Is it
Yep.
Portugal? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. You were a big soccer fan. And I played soccer in junior high and high school, and I
Yeah.
liked
You're
it.
right halfback, right? I think you talked about that last podcast.
That's right. Again,
You
I
only
have to
had
be
one goal.
careful.
I remember.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, geez, that is awesome. I'm impressed.
Hopefully, your
And,
memory will be refined throughout
yeah.
the.
Well, the funny thing about it is, do you remember if I was junior varsity or varsity when I scored that goal?
Oh, I don't remember actually.
I was actually in varsity at that time, but junior varsity needed my help. So I went
Okay.
down to junior
You went down.
varsity,
Okay.
and that's where I scored. I could still see it in my head now. It was my only score. But you like soccer and stuff, and you did music and stuff like that. Not musical. I just got done watching Star Trek, and they had a musical on Star Trek called the something Subspace Rhapsody, and actually it was really good. It was
Well,
really good. Well, they were basing it off of Buffy the Vampire did a musical, and that was like they set the bar, so it was like really good.
cool.
Flash has done musicals, then obviously Glee, but that's a whole different type of show. But Flash did a musical, Buffy did a musical, and then there was a few other. They pulled it off. It could have been a grand slam or a dud to the outfield, But
Um,
I've already watched the show 3 times already. And they're not type of music that I normally listen to, but they did it really well. It was like there was like a story being told in the songs.
yep.
Whoever wrote the songs. I mean, it wasn't like they were playing songs that you could say, I've heard that song before." No,
Yeah.
these were originally written for the cast, and so I
Mm,
think they did. And a lot of them, they have talent; they can actually sing. And
that's
the
amazing.
funny thing, the most funniest part is they had the Klingons doing like a boy band.
Okay.
It's something I can't remember what they called it. A guy who did a review, and it was just funny. His biggest critique was the fact they didn't do as many different genres. They kept it kind of pretty much the same. But
Yeah.
far as I was concerned, it was really good, and I'm glad I'll own that season anyway. So it will be in my collection. But so okay, so we'll go back to your story again. Is you don't really do any music anymore, but you are still teaching,
Still
still in the
teaching,
Bible and stuff like
counseling.
that.
Yep. Counseling at the Christian school, counseling through BetterHelp and Talkspace, which is a blessing.
Tell me a little bit about the difference between BetterHelp and what was the called again?
Talkspace. Yeah. So
Space.
BetterHelp, I've been with them for about 2 years. Talkspace,
Hmm.
I started at the beginning of this year. And I just wanted to have like two different platforms just to see the experience. But
Right.
BetterHelp is and Talkspace are the same teletherapy platforms. You can still receive counseling at
Okay.
home or in the car, at work, at the park. So it's virtual. You can log in from your phone or computer. But yeah, through BetterHelp, there seems to be more of like self pay or employment assistance programs. But
Hmm.
Talkspace, they open it up to more insurance plans because in Talkspace, you have like a psychiatrist on there. You can have like a nurse practitioner. So they kind of
Okay.
work almost like a clinic but
Okay.
I'm a mental health counselor. So talk therapy, but that's kind of the differences.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. And you enjoy
Yeah,
it, obviously. I mean, that's what
it's
you like
awesome.
to do. So, and then
Yeah.
you work for the school and you do that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in the church world for you. I mean, you have time to do anything for the church
Yeah.
or
No, that's a great question. So we're attending a church here. It's a small church, about like 30 to 40 people. It's
okay.
close to us. I did play a little music at the start. They do a lot of hymns and traditional songs.
Hmm.
I help out with communion. I do Sunday school with middle schoolers. But yeah, no, we're in the middle of having a church planner.
Okay.
Going to be, transferring the pastoral leadership to a pastor who just got out of seminary. So he's coming in September. So that's exciting. Actually, from Germany.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Pretty cool. And yeah, but no, me and my wife are attending, and it's a great community. But it's I could tell it's like, and I'm sure you know this too, Kevin. Like, church it looks different in every community you're in, right?
Right.
Like in
Right.
Florida, what I've realized is it's a lot more like outreach, and you're always depending
Hmm.
on like where you're at. Like, so
Hmm.
we came from more like a non-denominational, maybe
Hmm.
evangelistic background, Baptist, whereas now we're attending a Presbyterian church. So
Okay.
it's new, it's different, but it still is Christ-centered, and it's
Right.
something that I think fits the mold of our community. More
Right.
like, maybe, I know Boston, Northeast, different, but we're in a rural
Hmm.
area. So, the church is like, there's not really like microphone, there's no screens. It's like
Oh
paper, right? Like hymns on paper. So, but I came from
wow.
it's mic'd up, there's like
Yeah.
light, there's, music. So it's definitely a different culture, but
Right.
there's still Christ in the midst of it, which is a blessing. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So I don't know. I was thinking about. Tell me a little bit about the community itself. I mean, like I
Yeah.
grew up in Massachusetts. We had 40,000. We were a paper mill, plastic, city type of thing. And then now Vero
Wow.
Beach was a little bit more touristy. When I live, and then now the city I live in now is country, but not really rural. Not like when I lived up in Massachusetts. I mean, everything here in Florida. I mean, I could it take me to get to my office. Normally takes me 12 to 15 minutes, but sometimes it could take me a half an hour, and I have to take another exit because there's a sign that says "Stop traffic 1 mile ahead." And I-4 is one of the worst roads in the world to be on. I have more traffic problems now living up here than I've
Wow.
ever had in living in Massachusetts.
Oh
That's
my.
how bad. It's I-4, and I'm only about technically like 30 something miles outside of Orlando. And in my house, I'm 25 miles outside of Daytona Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how I always tell people is my house is halfway to Daytona Beach. I mean, yeah, if you went from my house to Daytona Beach or my house to Lake Mary, which is where I work at a TV station, they're the exact same distance. So I could
Cool.
work if I had to. I could work in Daytona Beach, but
Nice.
but I don't. But
Yeah.
so the community, they're a small church. I understand that, and
Small
yeah,
church.
little old fashioned paper, and it would be different, for me. I mean,
I know.
I always tell people I'm a song snob. I like good worship. I like
Yeah.
whether it's I fell in love with this band now from Branson, Missouri called the Petersons. They're a
Mm,
very strong Christian family. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I didn't
Kevin.
really ever hear of them, but they become an internet. They have thousands of subscribers, and they do Patreons and they do meetups and greets, and actually they're getting ready to do a tour coming up this fall over in England and uh, Ireland and stuff like that. So my point is this: I fall in love with it. One of the oldest girls is probably early 30s, probably born around the 1990s, early
Okay.
90s. And she wrote a song like "Why does my finger my little finger doesn't have a ring on it?" And she wrote the song, and
Yeah.
it's really a cute little thing. But her brother busts on her. I don't know how old difference of age they are, but she goes, "Yeah, I used to go to the post office box. We get a few letters. Now I get thousands of letters. And I get to have to deal and give Katie the letters and the chocolates and the flowers, and because they all go
Yeah.
to a PO box. So it's
That's sweet.
so so she is not married, but she has probably a lot of suitors. Probably but she just has a natural. I mean,
That's cool.
I watch
No,
her on stage, and she's smiling and happy, but
that's awesome.
she lives out in Branson. The band, it consists of her mother playing the bass, not the bass. It's like that boom, boom, boom type of thing. The big bass, not the guitar bass. You
Cello,
know, did you
or
lose me?
oh, is it the
Can you?
cello?
Oh, no, she plays the cello too. They're very musical. They're all you got the bass, the cello, the banjo. That her
Yeah.
mother plays the bass, plus also plays the trumpet.
That's cool.
Um, Katie doesn't have something. I haven't seen her don't do it really, other than she plays the keyboard, the piano. They play the mandolin, and then that guitar. I always get it confused. It's a flat guitar, and it's country. A lot of times you see it in country music, they're like picking it, and it's like flat. It's not like a normal strumming. You can't see
Yeah.
it, but it's flat, and
Yeah.
they pick it, and then they move the left hand on it, and I don't know what it's called. I'm
Cool.
terrible at that. But my point is this: I fall in love with the band. I'm going to do an interview in Branson. I got a couple people there. I got a pastor friend of mine that's there. And so I wrote her, I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this family?" She goes, "Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't know them personally." I said, "Ah, shucks."
No, I gotta
Is
check
it?
them out. Peterson.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's called
here.
Peterson. Yeah,
Peterson.
Petrs. Yeah, Son or Sen. The
Yeah.
Sin or yeah. They're out of Branson, Missouri. So you'll find them on it. I'll send you a link too. I'll
Awesome.
send you a video link of them.
Yeah, the
So,
community here though, it's pretty relaxed, family oriented. We're about
mhm.
2 hours from New York City. We live
Oh,
right on
that's
the
not too bad.
border of yeah, we live right on the border of Pennsylvania, New Jersey by the Delaware River. Uh,
Okay.
and we're about an hour north of Philadelphia. So yeah, it's really nice. We have like that mountainous feel, but we also have the river and we have the Jersey
Oh
Shore
wow.
hours.
Oh,
So
that sounds so. That's cool. I miss those. I mean, I always say most people retire and move to Florida. I'm going to retire and move to like Tennessee or North Carolina.
yep.
It's just because I'm actually someone told me a
What you
past.
call Kevin?
Say it again.
What you recall they say when you're from the north and you move to Florida, but you go halfway, they call
Right.
backers. You don't go
Um,
all the way up north, you go halfway, halfbackers, halfbacks.
Halfbackers. Okay, halfback. Well, I always had a running joke. It says, "Yeah, my goal was the go to move to Tennessee, but on the way flying there, I missed it and landed in Florida."
Yeah.
So it's Tennessee. I love. I mean, I used to go in business to Charlotte, North Carolina, for like 10 years, twice a year, and then was it Raleigh, South Carolina? It's right over the border, North Carolina, South Carolina. So I used to go there a lot, and there was a Lake Wiley there. A friend of mine had a house there, and
That's awesome.
I like Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Pigeon Forge.
Yep.
I want to once I get my bus, I want to take some vacation trips there, and I want to look for some land. And someone told me about this. You buy undeveloped land, which is like it's developed, but it's not. It's undeveloped. It's classified undeveloped because you still have power, storage, and water.
Mm,
And it's in the mountains and it's the rivers and it's basically an RV community in an
yeah,
undeveloped land. So there's no taxes because it's not developed.
that's great.
I just lost you, but I don't think
Oh,
I lost you. It
hello.
was me.
I can,
Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I somehow I lost you, which is weird. It just all of a sudden went black, and it could be my screen. I don't know. I don't know. Technical issues with computers drive me crazy. Like I started to tell you earlier, I have my great new 4K camera. When I look at the file, everything looks great, nice and clear. Put it into Final Cut, and then all of a sudden it starts flashing,
Oh
and
man.
it could have something to do with the. I got to talk to some people because it probably has to do with what they call FPS, frames per second, and
Mm,
I usually shoot at 29.97, which is like 30 frames a second. And this somehow is recording in 24 or 25 frames per second. So my timeline is always set for 29. So LEDs, I've noticed with LEDs, whether they're on ring lights or even overhead fluorescent lights, if they dim a little, the camera will pick it up and it'll be flashing. Because
yeah.
I did that in the church. We turned down the lights, we dimmed them, and then all of a sudden the lights were flashing. I go, what the heck's going on here? But something
Right.
about if you get a certain frequency of LED light with a camera, it will flash. So you sound like you have a nice community. Sounds really restful and peaceful, and you're not far. You said what, 2 hours from New York City?
Yep.
How long does it take you? We think to get to Boston? Probably six
We looked
six.
that up. Yeah, probably 5, 6. We have friends we're gonna visit at the end of beginning of September. Yeah, it's about 5.5, I think, to
Five
downtown.
and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know because 5.5. This is where I'm starting to plan my trips because the fact is I mean, even though I could drive longer, I mean, why kill myself? Literally. So,
Mm,
so you figure if you get up in the morning, sun gets up around 6:30, 7 o'clock, you head out 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 2 or 3. That's 8 hours, and then you stop overnight. Drive 8 hours, and then you pick up. That's why I was telling you about Harvest Host, because you pull
mm,
in there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's all self-contained. You have to have everything in your bus. You can't open up your slide. Well, I think you might be able to open up your slides, but you can't put out picnic tables and all that kind
oh,
of stuff. And then you have to ask permission to run your generator, so you have to ask that. And
yep.
you can, and the rule is you cannot ask them to stay an extra night, but they can
Got
ask you, but you can't ask them. That's the
Interesting.
political. That's the it's the politeness is. And again, if they have some type of tour, whether it's an orchard or a winery or something like that, that you have to, they want you to support it, because there's a cheap fee. I think it's like 80 to $100 a year to be a member. But when you go to the places that they're hosting it, you don't have to pay. It's not like, okay, it's $25 a night or something like that.
Yep.
It's free. So again, your free is by helping them out. And I can understand this with churches. I mean, I'm sure like your church, my church doesn't do stuff every single day.
Mm,
We're in a strip mall here, so it's a little bit different. But if we were a standalone building, the church gets used on Monday nights for a men's meeting, Thursday night right now for kind of like an outreach type of thing for
yeah.
street ministry inside the church, and then Sunday service. That's it.
Yep.
The rest of the time, well, and our building's a little different because there's three companies. There's Identity Church, there's CLC Sales, which is the lighting company, which is owned by the pastor, and he has his crew here, and then the Millennium Beat, is here. So
No,
we actually use the building, but most churches, unless they're a church that's really hopping and doing something every night, their property is sitting there just wasting, not doing anything. So
mm,
becoming this harvest host, I come stay and I make a $25 donation to the church. All I'm doing is parking in their parking lot,
yeah.
and I'm not doing anything. I get there late in the afternoon and I leave early in the morning, and as I said, they make 25, $50 or whatever. So it's a
Yeah.
really good concept. I like it. So going back to your community, it sounds like a really nice place to live. You made a good
Yeah.
decision. So,
Yeah. It's
so,
definitely a change of pace, but I think sometimes you make those changes, and yeah, of course, do I still miss Florida? I do, and I always think about my life. I'm like, wow, this was so different, but
yeah,
there's something special about up here that I think that's why people kind of want to live away from the city.
right.
Um, Yeah, we actually went to an Amish event, funny enough, because we live close to
That's
the.
what I was wondering, because some of the talking you were talking, I said, I wonder how far he is from Almeida, because that's in Pennsylvania. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lancaster is about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. So we went to. This is actually interesting, and it's fresh in my mind because this happened last weekend. We went
Okay.
to an event. It was called Family Days on the Farm, and it
Okay.
was in Christiana, PA. And it was a farming event, but also like a wellness
Hmm.
education event. But it was attended, to be honest, 70-80% Amish Mennonite community, and 20% were probably, as they call, like English people or like
Right.
non-Amish, non-Mennonite. So yeah, like we would see people on their horse and buggies.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember that when I was a kid. I saw that.
it's so interesting. So I've always like seen videos, seen documentaries, but it
Right.
was cool to like be in the same place as them,
Uh
you
huh.
know, the Amish Mennonite, and just normal. Like they're of
Right.
course dressed up in their
There, yeah.
clothing, and they didn't.
And the girls with the white, do they still do that?
Yep,
The white hat
the
and
white
stuff
head
like.
covering hats. Yep, and the guy.
It's unfortunately the thing I think of most of when I think of the Amish is not the people I've seen in person. Is that
Yeah,
Weird Al, what is his name?
Yankovic. Oh yeah,
Yankovic do a song with
I
the
know.
with the Amish, and so that
Yeah.
song is like in my head. I can see that, but I have been up in Lancaster in that area that I have
Cool.
seen the horses, with the little
Yeah.
red triangle in the back, and being,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
I just found out through another video that if there's a triangle on the back, I
uh,
think it's Mennonite, but if there's no triangle, it's Amish.
oh
Uh,
wow, I
yeah,
didn't know
it's really
that.
interesting. And also, if I got it correctly, and also There are some Amish and Mennonite communities that, like, depending on their church and the elders of the church that make decisions, will basically guide them insofar as, like, you can have technology or no technology. You can have a power tool or no, it needs to be done by horse or manual labor. So
Right.
what I found out is that, yeah, depending on the church community and what, Amish Mennonite community you're in, it differs. Like, we saw some Amish Mennonite in horse and buggies, and some were actually in a car. You
Oh
know,
wow.
we saw some with cell phones, some with not. So it's very fascinating. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're at an event, and they're having health talks and everything. And this is what I kind of wanted to talk about today, which is
Okay.
interesting. But I'll share this story with the Amish guy, and then I'll share the speaker's
Okay.
story. But I was, walking around, like they had vendors there. Awesome food, by the way. There's something
Uh,
about that community. It's just amazing.
right.
Like, stuffed pretzel and the
Yeah.
fry. They have this one drink, because I can't drink coffee. They have this dandelion root tea,
Oh
which is a
wow.
substitute, and it's amazing.
Hmm.
I just can't have coffee because the acidity, and it just wrecks my stomach. But
Right.
anyway, I was walking to see the horse lessons, and there was a gentleman, had the hat, the overalls, typical
Right.
clothing wear, and he asked me, like, "You're not from around here. What are you doing here?" Like, in a nice way. It wasn't like, "What are you doing here?" But
Right.
like, "Oh no, like our friends actually are here. We're here with them." I have a fascination with culture and learning about
Right.
health and wellness and farming. And he's like, just nodding, and I was like, "How about you? What do you do?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a dairy farmer." I was like, "Oh, like how long?" "Like 30 years." I was
Oh
like,
wow.
"Cool." He's like, "Have you ever heard of Organic Valley?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, they the milk, provides." Like, "Yep, we contract with them." And then I was like, "Oh, you live around here?" Like, "Yeah, 25-mile radius." Just kind of keeping things private.
Right. Yeah.
But and then at the end, it wasn't a goodbye. It wasn't like, it was just like, "All right then." So it's interesting. Like, sometimes, we feel like, oh, that would be unpolite, but that's
Right.
just the way they are. Like, you kind of,
Right.
you learn and like learn about people's cultures. But anyway,
Mm.
the story that I was getting to was, there was a speaker there, and he's an awesome speaker. There's people in my family that read his books. His name is Joel Salatin, and he's a farmer guy. He's a Christian. He calls himself
Okay.
a lunatic farmer. But he said, musings from South Carolina. There was like a little story he wrote in this little
Right.
book, and he said, I got stuck in South Carolina because my well, maybe for you, Kevin, that would have been nice if you got stuck. That's what you're gonna
Right.
say.
Yeah.
I
That
got
would have been
stuck.
nice.
I had one more speaking engagement. The hotel, or the airport, gave me a hotel, which is nice. I looked at the menu. Nothing I would eat though, because he's a farmer. Like, he's all about clean
Right.
eating, nutrient
Yeah.
dense food, organic. And he's like, all right. So I took the shuttle. It says musings from the shuttle ride. So he's in the shuttle ride in South Carolina. He's like, wow, look at all those beautiful trees. Oh my goodness, my cows could be so happy under that shade. Shame though. There's nice landscape art, like it's very well maintained, but that could feed thousands of families. Wow, I see a family over there. The husband and wife have a child. I
Hmm.
wonder what the child is thinking about. Does she want to grow her own food? Does she want to be something when she grows up? But I look
Hmm.
at the family, and unfortunately, they're glued to their screen. I look at the shuttle that I'm in, and I want to have a conversation with someone, but they're glued on their screens.
Right.
And, and he gets to the airport, and he mentions, I get through security and everything, and it's fine. But then I see people again glue their screen. Are they looking up seeds to plant? Are they looking up things to do? I don't know. But anyway, has Google figured out the algorithm to getting people off their phones? Can
They
you
want
spend
you on
about,
it.
what's that?
I said they want you on it more.
No. So it was just interesting. I came from that event. I'm reading that. And for one, it makes me want to read more. But
Hmm.
secondly, just what are we doing with our time? We always talk about time management and energy management.
Right.
I do go overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by the work I do and the life that I
Right.
live. But I think we have to think about what are ways to connect, with
Hmm.
nature, of course, but also with each other. Like, this is an amazing platform, right? But then you
Right.
take it, and then how can we apply it and, just be out with people? And then,
Mhm.
but yeah, I thought that was interesting just to share.
Well, the interesting thing, as I said, the pandemic changed everything on how we, same with your profession, is how we interact with people. I
Yep.
mean, before people have the phones, and I think that's because it drives me crazy. If we're sitting down together having dinner or lunch at a restaurant, you and your wife, and you're both sitting there going,
Yeah.
I actually yelled at one of my friends. I says, "Hey, if you don't stop," I said, "I'm not going out to eat with you ever again." Because I said, if you don't like my conversation, what I'm talking about, which is fine, give me a subject you want to talk about, but get rid of that phone. I never see you. I mean, this is a guy in Vero Beach. I never see him. Once in
Yeah.
a great while, we'll go out and have breakfast. But the point was this: you're telling somebody if I it's funny, I didn't shut my phone off. Last time I didn't shut off my phone, somebody else called me, another client, another not a client, another guest. So they're sitting there with their phone going, it's like, okay, like I'm talking to you right now. You can tell I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the phone compared to looking at you like right now. But we come to society, we've got so much phone or screen time, whether it's an iPad or a tablet or a
Yeah.
phone. We have got so much screen time. There's this girl that I talked to who's 15 and a half going on she's 15 and a half going on 30. Um, and when she's on restriction because she's being punished, she gets her phone taken away from her. And I told her grandmother, because she lives with her grandmother, I said, um, when she is on restriction, she is the better person I like talking to because we have
Mhm.
conversations. We talk about different things. She tells me
Yeah.
about school. She tells me about boyfriends or boys that she likes,
Yep.
or girls she's having problems with. There's a conversation
Yeah.
where if she has her phone, she's either playing a video game or texting somebody or something like that, and I can barely get like, "Hey, you." And, like you have to go over there and shake her, like to get a response. So
It's
society is got
Mhm.
that way.
It has got that way, and I think for us, it's amazing. Like, I love technology. I use it for my school job, as
Right.
an advisor, as a counselor. Like, be able to counsel someone from Saudi Arabia, which I talked to you
Oh
earlier,
yeah.
client
Right.
with help. Like, that is fascinating. But with everything in life, it's a balance. But what
Hmm.
what I got from that Joel Slatten guy is just, what in your life do you want God to do, in your life? A lot of times you're like, God, I want to improve this in my life. Or, like, for
Hmm.
me, I want to, be able to sit down for 30 minutes and just read. Or, I want
Hmm.
to be able to, do something that I've always wanted to do. Well, the thing is, we've gotten, like, a lot of our coping skills tend to be on a device, right? Like,
Right.
social media is great. Like, we love to connect with people, but even our apps have gotten on there, banking, everything. But if we can learn to, like, in a way like Marie Kondo, minimalize our lives to, like,
Hmm.
more touch, physical,
Right.
have a balance would be helpful. Like, there's this saying that, some people connect face to face or shoulder to shoulder, meaning,
Right.
like, shoulder to shoulder is like, oh, when you work with people or you're playing sports or you're doing ministry. But some people love that face to face, like what we're doing right now. Like, this is good. But if
Hmm.
we're not getting that face to face interaction, we're going to find it in other ways. And those
Right.
ways tend to be more addictive, but also
Mm.
they tend to be, less fulfilling, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I would encourage anyone, whether it's teens, you're right, or friends, that what they're really searching for is they're really searching for connection and
Hmm.
entertainment. But I think the youth too, speaking on the youth, is if we can give them a lot of, like, opportunities for, like, all right, sports, theater,
Hmm.
like, being creative. There was one
Right.
quote that I heard once that says, I think you'll like this: the more that we consume, the less we create.
Hmm.
But the
Okay.
more that we create, the less we consume. So I think if we tap into that creativity, like just that Joel
Hmm.
guy, like, he loves farming. Like, and listeners, whoever's listening, like, what is something that you love to do? Do that, and do that a lot. Like, too much
Hmm.
of a good thing is wonderful, right? So, like, we do have to compete with culture. Like you said, it's our society. So we are
Right.
competing against, the augmented reality, right? Or I'm competing against, like, movie theaters, Oppenheimer, whatever the movie.
Right.
But but if we can meet youth and like play pickleball or like let's go, oh, you want to create a song, let's do it. um we have to be like match their energy,
Hmm.
because sometimes we're not enough for them. They have to go to this other realm, this media, our platform, to get it. So it's
Right.
almost, we have to compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny. I was just talking to. I did an interview, and I guess I'm on the theme because it's mental health. I did a conversation with somebody that was in the mental health field. He was a
Yeah.
premature baby and stuff, and we talked about that. And we were discussing the fact of hugs, and he wasn't touched and held when he was
Yeah.
younger because at that time, 30, 40 years ago, they didn't think they could. So
Yeah.
and I've learned, and whether you're human or animal, we like now most people. Now there are some people that don't like touches. I mean, and that could be something because they had a trauma in the early days, or it could be just they're not into that kind of stuff. Like you go to a church and somebody walks in doesn't get said hi to, might be like, who cares? I don't really care. I'm here to, worship God and pray and whatever. And they get one person walk in and nobody says hi to them. They say, I ain't going back to that church. They're not friendly. And then the other person says, oh man, this is a friendly church. This is a great church. So
Yep.
a lot of times in our life it depends on, you ever read the books by Gary Chapman, not the singer, but the doctor?
Love languages. Yeah.
Love language. I can't remember her name, but there was a counselor at camp with me that got me reading that. She would love the book,
Cool.
and I've read the teenager version. I've read all, and it's like I know what my love language is. If you studied it, what would you guess my love language is? If you know,
uh would it be words of affirmation or physical touch?
well, yeah, they're okay. If you rank them, that is I would be like two and three, but my
Okay.
number one is quality time. If you said
Okay,
to, if you say to me, hey, let's go grab some lunch after church, or hey, can we meet? Like I meet with one of my partners once a month. Sometimes, most of the time, he pays because he makes a lot of money. He sells $1 million properties, and he's
wow.
one of my partners. But
Yeah.
we'll go out to eat. We'll spend quality time. My pastor, I'll just call like he just went on vacation, so like just down. He just went to Georgia to a cabin and just download, just
Yeah.
relax. So we're gonna get together and we might chat about business or my things that are going on, but it's just me hanging out with him. So yeah, my love language is quality time.
Makes sense.
Again, the other one would be yes, touch. I don't usually push it, and people. I don't go. I was saying this in that conversation. I don't really push it, but I do like it. I mean, I do like hugs and stuff like that, but I don't really. And you have to be real careful today. And
Sure.
if the only time I don't like it is if some grandma comes running up to you after being in church and you don't know who she is, and you're going, "Whoa, give me my space." But most generally, I mean, I won't reject it. And I have had people ask me. I've had people that are at the church that will say, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" I go, "Sure, go ahead." But yeah,
Awesome.
that physical touch. How I reminded me years ago. I don't even know. It's called Farmville or something like that. And they had animals, and then you fed them or something like that, and the little hearts will
Oh
you know,
wow.
fly up and because because they like, and my cats, I have two cats that
Yeah.
love to be held. They love to sit on my lap. My cat, unfortunately, died. Bella was the most bonded cat. Actually, the day that she died, she was in my arms sleeping like a baby for like 6 hours.
Wow.
And she was so bonded to me. She always wanted to be around me.
Mhm.
So as a human, we've kind of have lost that a little bit in general because everything is online. Like if you ask me how many friends do I have on Facebook, I don't know, 2.5 thousand friends.
Wow.
But I look through the list on like, well, I'm bored. I want to talk to somebody. I'm at work and I have nothing to do. Okay, they're on. Don't know them. They're on. I don't know them. And then I'll see people that are on, and I'll text them or message them, and they don't respond because their computer's on, but they're not.
Yeah. It
So
shows
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, because it shows active. And I think what we're talking about, like this kind of stuff, this is great, but this is not number one for me. Number one is like when we did at your house that we sat down
That was
and
cool.
we talked together.
We had a
Those are
meal.
my,
Yeah.
and we had a meal. Those are the best conversations that I have. I call them like love stories, where I
Mm.
sit down and I know about you know about your wife, then you meet, you fall in love, you have kids, and they grow up. I like those kind of stories,
Yeah.
and I like to share those things, but they can't happen as well over the computer. I mean, it's just you just lose that a little bit of kind of a touch. I mean, like this is a follow up interview. As I said, we did back in 2020 that we did an interview with you and your wife. So this is kind of a little catching up on things and stuff like that. And sometimes it's okay to do. I mean, it's I have no choice, but I'm going to love it more when I drive my bus up to your house, and then either you meet inside my bus because my bus you walk in, sit down, and everything is all ready to go, and we're sitting like around like a couch. I hand you a lapel mic, just like an interview, like a TV station, and hit the cameras, and we're ready to go.
That's it.
But that's the way that I want to do, and I want to travel. So that's why I'm getting partners, because to do all that kind of stuff, unfortunately, I need to pay the bills. I mean, gas is not cheap. Coaches, it's a $200 to $1,000 coach that I have to pay for over the next 20 years. So it's in general stuff. So we kind of find that in today's society, and the youth is probably getting worse because the fact that they're growing up to be. I mean, there's kids today at kindergarten that know how to work an iPad better than I do. Unfortunately, they're given as a device to keep them entertained. And I can understand that, but it's just like it's just we're losing that. We're losing that personal touch. It's like I was talking to a Jewish guy and said one of the things that's nice about the Jewish race is the fact that they used to tell stories from generation to generation to generation. They used to pass on their heritage. As Americans, I think I can't say we lost it because I don't think we ever really had it. Is that how many? It depends on the culture. Now, you come from a culture that, like the Jewish race, they had the culture of passing stories on from one generation to another.
Yeah,
that's how a lot of the Bible was written, because of those stories. Where today, I mean, like I always talk about it, and I've talked about this with psychology before. My nephew doesn't really know much about his Irish side. He doesn't really care. He doesn't give a flip. His kids, which are my great nieces and nephews, they really don't even know I exist because I'm not local. And that's another thing too. Years ago, when like my grandparents came here in 1914 and had 12 kids, they all lived and died pretty much in the same city. Where today, my sister lives 3 hours. You go to Tampa, which is 2 hours, 100 miles, and then you go south about an hour and a half. So this is like 3.5 hours from here for me. She used to live across the street. Actually, she used to live upstairs above me. So, I mean, and my other sister lives in somewhere in East Longmeadow or somewhere in Massachusetts. My brother lives in Andersonville. Anderson is with you ever hear that movie Radio with Cuban Jr.? He's like it's shot. It's true story. And it's about a guy that's from Anderson, South Carolina. And then we do one of our shows is Beverly Fitness Show. It comes out of Anderson, South Carolina. But my point is this: those three, my brother and two sisters, live way far from me. I never see them. I never really hear from them. The only time I hear from them is when I'm sick, and they think I'm dying, so they call me. They don't call me when I'm alive and well. They call me only when they think I'm dying. So it's like I say, I hate to say this, I'll say this publicly. They're not getting any of my money or any of my vehicles. Right. I'm not even worried about having a funeral because I always say, if you're not going to visit me now while I'm alive, why do I have to spend thousands of dollars for you to see me for the last time? Well, call me. Yeah, I've had cousins and probably brothers, and that have driven right by me on the highway. Literally, I'm right off the highway on I-4. And when I was in Vero, I was right up pretty close off I-95. So my point is unfortunately, I think is that we need to change something. We need that a little bit more interactive, because we're also setting ourselves up for a big fall. I mean, whether it's a military attack or natural, if we lost, we are so dependent on the internet right now. We wouldn't be having a conversation if it wasn't for the internet. So in general, we are so dependent. I mean, I was watching Star Trek, and it was streaming, and all of a sudden cable went out, and I was like, oh, I'm mad. So I had to come to my office and watch the rest of it.
I know.
We're so dependent. I mean, well, like you said, the apps, our banking, our financial reports, everything is on. Nothing is really hard copies anymore. I mean, we don't even have a lot of things locally, like on a hard drive. Right. we're setting ourselves up, whether it's a natural disaster or man-made, to be, what are kids today going to do? Like, they have no internet. Do they know enough to go outside and play kick the can? I never did that, but I always heard people talk about it. Like, when I was younger, we had nothing to do. We went outside and kicked. And our mothers called us when the street lights came on. It's time to go home, or we knew it's time to go home. We were all over Johnny's house, and they knew where
Yeah.
they were. We didn't need a cell phone.
Yeah, families just having that model for the kids, and watching us, like youth are watching us how we live, and
mm-hmm.
I think they'll watch us, like not just say as I say, but do as I do.
Right.
I think it's on us as our generation to show them like there are
other ways. And well, there's this family that I just met. Found out he's like 2 years younger than me. I thought he was older because he has 3 daughters, a wife, a ministry. His name is Chris, but I don't know the name of his ministry. But it's like Reinhard Bunke, where Reinhard Bunke did a lot for Africa. He does stuff for Nigeria and places like that. So he does. So he at the TV station they rent, I think, 5 offices that they do. And I met their youngest daughter and stuff like that, and she's into social media and stuff like that. But in general, what's nice about it is every day at 12:30, most of the time, they sit together at a round table and they share a meal together. Even though they work all together. I mean, their offices in different parts of the building, but they share a dinner together as a family. Yeah. They pray, they talk, and they socialize just for that half an hour. It's like I don't do that. I mean, it's only me. So a lot of times, what people do that are single is like, I'll eat by watching TV, which is weird. I don't know why, because you have to feel like you have to be with something familiar. Like a lot of TV shows, you feel like you're part of the cast or something. I don't know what you feel.
Yeah, there's like an experience with it. I understand.
Yeah, you kind of get used to the cast and you get to know, and you're sad when the show is canceled or something like that. So it's just in general. So it was great catching up with you. Is there anything?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to leave in somebody's ear that they're listening or watching? Something encouragement. What would you like to say to them while we're closing and wrapping up?
Thank you, Kevin, and I appreciate you and your time. I would say something that God's teaching me is, just I mean, there's a lot of things He's teaching us, but I would say just for the purposes of that question, I would say, just live with intentionality, live with intentionality, whether that's like counseling speaking, if there's a goal you want to have in your life or a wound you want to heal, or maybe, God's calling you to, again, with that farmer said, like focus on one thing. There was a philosopher / theologian called Sir Kierkegaard, and he said, purity of heart is to will one thing. And I think we live in a world where there's so many things.
Right.
But if focus on one thing, and what does that mean, Joseph? Well, maybe it's one relationship, just develop quality instead of quantity. Or maybe it's a passion, whether it's like do a boutique or do a garden or, be a swimming athlete, but will it with all your heart, and because I find this a lot in counseling is that sometimes in life, we always have trouble following through with things.
Right.
But, that one acronym, Ohio, right? Only handle it once. I think it's like with emails. But life, or focus stands for follow one course until success.
Okay.
Do things. Want to take your time. Another quote, that I'm still learning, and my wife teaches me this, is ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life.
Okay.
And that was by Dallas Willard. But we hurry, we rush, and even right now, you're probably thinking, or me too, like I'm thinking, well, I wonder what meal I'm going to get, or we're going to go somewhere later. Oh, what route am I going to? But just be present, because that is the way to feel at peace. Not to be anxious for the future or depressed about the past, but just enjoy that today is the day the Lord has made.
Right. I'm getting the word like enjoy the moment, this moment of time. Don't look at not the last moment or the next moment. Look at this moment and embrace this moment of time. And embrace it. Yeah. Embrace the moment of time. And I mean, it's funny how you said about food. I'm not even thinking of what I'm doing next. This is I don't. I don't really care. I got a lot of editing to do, so I'll be in my office editing. And I could do some Grubhub or whatever, and I don't really care. I don't really care. But one of the things you're saying, I know we're closing, but you triggered a thought. Jesus was never. I listened to a podcast about that. Jesus was never in a rush. I mean, you look at that Lazarus was dying, and the women came to him and says, Jesus, come. And what's he do? He stays an extra couple of days where he was. He didn't say, hey guys, we got to go right now. Lazarus is dying. We got to go. No, he says, I'll get there. I mean, it was all planned out. I mean, he was in the moment of time. He knew the results, what was going to happen. He's God, but he's not rushing. So if we get to the point of enjoying the moment in time, you ever see the movie Star Trek on, was it Nemesis or where you don't watch sci-fi? There was an episode, I think wasn't Nemesis. It was some show. They went to a planet and they had technology, but they could actually stop the moment of time. They watched like a hummingbird, instead of going like that, it would just go like really slow. And because they enjoyed the moment, they can make a second last a year, type of thing. They were hundreds of years.
Lord is 1,000 years, right? It's something.
Yeah, so it's like we're always rushing from A to Z, and not enjoying the moment of time, and that's one of the. I mean, I'm goal oriented now, and trying to get the money to save, paying off bills and stuff like that. But I can't wait for the day that I can say I'm just going to go to North Carolina, stay at a place and just chill out and have a fire going, and just me open up a book, open up the Bible, pray or whatever, and just unpack myself. It's like I'm go all the time when I'm home, and we all need that. We need to have. That's why God gave us told to take a day off.
You're right. There are seasons though, and even Jesus, where he did a miracle, then he had to go to a town, and then he had to heal and have a meal. So there are seasons where we do. We're like makers, like we have our normal job and we do ministry, and it's a lot. But you're right, there are the Sabbaths that wants us to give to Him. But I pray that for you, that you can look forward to that season where you just enter into that rest.
Well, it's a new journey. I mean, I still believe, other than just doing interviews, I believe there's going to be miracles like crazy. I've always said that I'm going to be, not because I'm an egotistical, as I'm going to have the point that I am not going to worry about having guests, because guests are going to be calling me up and say, hey, I want to be on your show. Not because of me, it's because of the platform. It's all about you. It's all about the platform of what you have to say. Right. As I said, it's your host, Kevin James, and I did a new cartoon drawing of me and stuff like that. But it's just because you have to have a kind of a brand. But other than that, I'm not trying to promote myself. I don't want to be like I'm this big, speaker or whatever. It's like, hey, if you know my show, that's all I care about. Who's the host? I don't know, but I know the Millennium Beat. So and we're broadcast throughout the world. I mean, I got people in China, Africa, Israel, UK, Canada. I still haven't got anybody from, which is weird because I have a buddy of mine. Actually, probably was before your time. Jim Keane. He lives in Alaska, but I think I hear he's moving back. All right, I don't want to. We've been talking for roughly about an hour, so that I'll edit down a little bit because we had a couple goofs in here that I have to fix. But Joseph, thank you very much for being with me today, catching up. Tell your wife I said hi, send her my love, and then we'll probably the next. I will hopefully it won't be 3 years, but I will contact with you and tell you you're going to have a bus sitting out in your front yard. So, and we'll spend a few times, and you'll show me around town and stuff like that. I'll just take some downtime because I'll plan it out. So, but again, thank you very much for being on. Yeah. Hey, everybody, you've been listening to the Millennium Beat. I'm here talking to Joseph, and I've already said thank you, Joseph, but thank you again. I appreciate it. So, everybody else, we'll see you guys next week with a different guest. I don't know sure who it is going to be yet, but I know there is somebody. Oh, yeah, I know who it is, but stay tuned. You'll find out. All right, bye. Take care.
This has been a Millennium Beat LLC production. Views and opinions of the guest are not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat LLC. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and TikTok at The Millennium Beat, or on Twitter at Millennium_Beat. If you would like to partner with us to reach the world, go to our website for more information. You can go to themillenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. We couldn't do all we do without your support. The Millennium Beat just updated our website from the ground up. Check it out at themillenniumbeat.com, or you can get there by using millenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net, where you'll be redirected to the millenniumbeat.com's homepage. I want to thank Mass Inbound for their awesome work on our website. If you're looking for somebody to build your site, I recommend them. You can reach them at massinbound.com. That is massinbound.com. These are some of the things that you can find on our website. Homepage. You can watch our latest YouTube video or listen to our audio podcast. Also listed are some of the platforms our audio podcast is on. You'll find out when the next podcast will air and who the guest will be. On the top right, you will find 2 red buttons, Learn How to Help and Become a Guest. Under Learn How to Help, you can become a partner, sponsor, contributor, or contribute to the future Millennium Bus. You can give one-time or monthly recurring. The choice is yours. The other button is Be a Guest. Click it, go to the form, and fill it out, and we will get back to you. We would love to hear your story. Click the About Us drop-down where you'll find stats, where we are reaching people, and to find more information on our sponsors. Click on the podcast drop-down, then click on the Calendar tab where it will tell you when the shows will air and who will be on them. Or if you need to know about any meetups of the Millennium Beat staff, partners, or listeners. Also, there might be on the calendar an event at which the Millennium Beat staff will be at. Click the Guest tab for all previous guests, links to their website, social media pages, and any store they might have. Click the Forms drop-down. There you'll find a release, Be a Guest, or Become a Sponsor form.